So a while back, I have had this for a little while, I just haven't got around to doing anything with it yet. A while back, I decided, I was speaking to people in the Discord, and they were asking me if I was going to get one of these. And I was like, yeah, I might do, not too sure. I was like, you know what, let me be cheeky. So I emailed Toxicant, asked them if they'd be interested in sending one over and it featuring a video, because I feel like I've sold more Toxicant MCXs than anyone else, any other influencer, content creator, or anyone. I think I've sent more people their way than anyone. So I thought, you know what, I don't feel too bad about being cheeky. And eventually they did answer. Well, they asked me what I was sort of looking for. I was like, well, perhaps we can do a video on your trigger series. And then I never got a reply. And then maybe like a few weeks later, I just had an email saying that I'd got a parcel being dispatched. And then it did take a while after that to get here. So came in this little box. They've sent a trigger pack over, which is their upgrade trigger set. They've also sent me over a nozzle for their MCX series and a couple of bits here, which looks like an NPAS style valve. So we'll be looking at that in future. Nice little box. You know, you could use it to store red dots, batteries, anything like that. It's always nice when you get a little box like this. They're super handy. So let's pull this thing out and see what we've got going on. Slide it out here. And yeah, look at that. Now, a lot of people have been commenting saying, basically having a bit of a gripe with Toxicant about them not copying the Z system like one for one. And what they mean by that is, obviously you've got this plate that acts as a bolt stop, but it doesn't move. So on normal MWS triggers, this slides forwards and backwards, and you actually have like a little mechanism here as a buffer to sort of grab the bolt and slowly catch it. Now, a lot of people have criticised that, but honestly, it doesn't really matter with the MCX, because, you know, you're running a stainless steel bolt, which the Marui has, you know, a pot metal bolt with a little steel insert. So you're not really having to damper down much force. Also, you've got to remember is that the Z plates for like the Maruis and such are catching a bolt that's travelled quite far, because it's a full-size bolt, where the MCX, you've got the little half bolt. It's not really going as far. It hasn't got as much mass. So I think with the way they've made it, it really makes sense for them just to simplify it. So that's why it just literally acts as a bolt stop. It's still steel, I presume. Obviously, we'll let these arms drop off here. I do have a magnet up here which we can test it. So yeah, it's a steel Z-type plate. We won't call it a Z plate. We've got an aluminium plate on here, which is for the full auto sear, which sits at the back here. So as the bolt comes forward, it hits that and it releases the hammer again. So it works a little bit differently to a standard MCX trigger box. We've got a steel hammer, we've got a steel valve knocker, we've got a steel trigger. Honestly, there's so many steel parts. That's attracting there, probably because it's got a steel pin. So all the fixings are steel. We've got an aluminium housing. And to be honest, this thing is really well made. Now you can see where they've produced this trigger box and then they've done an extra process after they've anodized it, which you'll see these silver parts here. That's a machining pass, or well, it's either a machining pass or some kind of, no, I don't think it's fired. I think it is machined. So perhaps they had all these anodized and then they had to do a final thing just to do a clearance on it. I'm not sure. Maybe it doesn't really matter. Once it's in the rifle, it's not going to make any difference. So that goes on here. So you've got your hammer, you've got your trigger, and basically your full auto sear sits here. So as you select auto, what would happen, you'd pull the trigger, the hammer would come back, and then as the bolt comes forward, it would release it. So very simplistic system compared to the normal MWS. And yeah, we've got loads of adjustment on this. Let's talk about that. So we can actually adjust the hammer strength with this one here. We can adjust the trigger sensitivity, the disconnector, preloading, and the trigger distance with these 3 grub screws down here. Now I'm hoping that this is an easier process than the Guns Modify one, because that is an absolute nightmare. I've got 3 springs here. I have no idea what they're for, whether they're for the bolt release. They do feel different strengths, so maybe they're a bolt release spring that has got slightly higher or lower strength compared to the original. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be fitting this trigger pack in the CSAW, and the reason I'm going to be doing that is I'll be fitting it in the CSAW because it'd be nice to get this adjustable, even though the trigger on this isn't bad. It's better than a standard MWS trigger. And then we'll leave the Rattler standard, and then we can compare them perhaps once we've got it all set up. That will probably be in the follow-up video to this one, just because in terms of time and such like that. But if I just take down the MCX, we can see what the standard pack looks like. If you bear with me, I'll try and get these pins out with my nails. There we go. I'd rather it be tight than loose, that's what I always say. Nothing worse than something that's so loose it creates problems for you. So here is the standard trigger pack. It looks very much the same. The trigger's obviously different as well. We've got a flat blade on this one. Does feel crisper already, so I'm not sure. We might not even have to adjust that. Now, it could be a case as I've been lucky and they knew where they were sending this, so what they've done is fine tune it before it's got to me. If you've bought this trigger pack, let me know if your trigger is as precise as that one out of the box. If it's not, then maybe they've done a bit of the work for me so I don't have to do it on camera. I am digging the purple and the green. You know, it's a bit different, so we'll see how this goes. Thanks for tuning into this video. I just wanted to get it unboxed and let you guys know that I have got one. In the next video, we'll be fitting it into the Toxicant MCX, and then we'll compare it between this and the Rattler, and we'll see which one's better. Now, I'm guessing this one is going to be better, but is it going to be worth your while to go and drop the bags on this one, or just stick with your standard one? We'll find out in the next one. Thank you as always for watching, and as always from me and Bench, we'll see you in the next video.